I was invited to become the Minister of Education. I did that. Then Minister of Tourism in 2005, and the rest is history. That's my career in government. Over the past 15 years, after I left the government, my observation is that we have continued to enhance the quality of education in the Maldives. But I think the time will come when foreign universities will come up and come here and set up their branches in Maldives. On a positive side, the demand for Maldives tourism, I think, will continue to rise.
Welcome to another episode of Ethera Business, where we guide entrepreneurs and investors to expand beyond borders. At Ethera Business, we believe that global expansion is not as straightforward. It requires real insight, strategic direction, and new partners to navigate new markets with confidence. Today, we are honored to welcome a leader who has shaped three most vital sectors in the Maldives: education, tourism, and aviation. He has served as the Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation, Minister of Education, and is currently serving as the Chancellor of Maldives National University. Throughout his career, he has played a vital role in national development and regional collaboration. Joining us today, Dr. Mahamood Shougee, a respected figure in both policy and academia with a wealth of experience that continues to shape the future of Maldives. Dr. Shougee, welcome to Ethera Business. You've served as the Minister of Education, Minister of Tourism and Civil Aviation, and now as the Chancellor of MNU. Could you share a brief reflection on your professional journey and what inspired you to contribute to national development?
Thank you. My professional journey actually started when I was quite young. For the purpose of earning, I started giving tuition when I was in grade 5. And then I continued that until I was in grade 10. And I guess so very early on I became a teacher without knowing. After grade 10, I joined the government, SDO at the time, and then after a year went in to do my A-levels at then SCC, now CHSE. While I was there, I again started working as a supervisor of Ahmadiyya school tuition class. And that was almost a full-time job because we finished A-level, day school from morning till about, I think, 2 o'clock. And then about 3:30, I will start my job as a supervisor of a school and then finish that at about 9 p.m. at night. So that's my teaching career. And then after A-levels, I got a scholarship to go to Canada and did a bachelor's of education degree specializing in biology. After that, I got interested in economics and I did a separate degree in economics and then again, master's of education and then a PhD in education. And then I returned home because I had a bond to serve. And my job in the Ministry of Education first was as the Chief Education Supervisor. After 2 years, the president at the time, President Gayoom, requested if I would become the Deputy Minister of Education, and accepted that, became the Deputy Minister of Education. And then I was invited to become the Minister of Education. I did that. And then Minister of Tourism in 2005, and the rest is history. That's my career in government. After 2008, I worked in the private sector as a consultant, both in education and in tourism, based on my experience in the government. And then now I'm obviously the Chancellor of the Maldives National University. I think that's a summary of my
Yes, that's both a very diverse and a very impressive career portfolio. How do you see the Maldivian education sector evolving over the past 2 decades from your time in the policy leadership and now as the Chancellor of MNU?
When I was in the leadership position in the government, Minister of Education, that is a time that I recall, our primary focus was on universalizing secondary education and enhancing the quality of education. Those were the two policy objectives at the time. We had secondary schools in Mali and in some key islands in the atolls, but not on all islands. And we wanted to ensure that every child had the opportunity to complete up to grade 10 at least. So you can imagine the challenge, because we had to train teachers, we have to build schools. And within a fairly short period, I recall, I think it's about 3 to 4 years, we were able to ensure that all students had access to secondary education. So that's the achievement that I'm most proud of during my time in the Ministry of Education. We also had other areas of interest, policy interest at the time. One was inclusive education. We just started at the time to expand special needs education. And we wanted technical vocational training into the secondary schools. We began a program for that as well. And we developed Maldives Qualification Authority. At the time, we called them MAB, Maldives Accreditation Board. And that was because we wanted to regulate, primarily at the time, it was the private higher education, but eventually the entire higher education spectrum in the country. And so there was a push for expanding higher education and universalizing secondary education. So that's what we achieved during that time. Now, over the past 15 years, even after I left the government, there has been all throughout emphasis on enhancing the quality of education. Over the past 15 years, after I left the government, my observation is that we have continued to enhance the quality of education in the Maldives. We have also, there's been concerted effort in all governments to ensure that the special needs and inclusive education in the country is enhanced further. And then there is a push, obviously, for higher education and technical and vocational education. And that's the direction that the country is taking for the development of the education sector. Yeah.
We often hear about a skills mismatch or a skills gap when it comes to the workforce. In your perspective, what are the key areas that we still need to develop when it comes to higher education and vocational training to kind of close this gap, or rather to meet the demands of the workforce?
There is, I think you have to look at what is required today, at the moment, based on the current industries and needs, and what will be the future, because the future may not entirely be exactly the same industries that we have now. So we will have to make sure, we will have to have a vision, a plan of what new industries that we want to develop in the future and what areas of skills are required for that, and then target. I don't know if we have a blueprint for that at the moment. In terms of skills shortage, I think if you take most areas, construction, for example, the technical engineering area in construction, such as civil engineers, but not necessarily all degree level civil engineers, even at diploma level or at supervisory level, there's a need in the country, because I think construction will continue to increase in the country. If you take the tourism sector, of course, tourism sector, you need lawyers even, accountants, engineers, electricians, and all kinds of professions are required in the tourism sector. At the moment, I think it's about 30% local people working in the tourism sector. That is because bulk of the jobs in the tourism sector are very much service-oriented. housekeeping, um, looking after the grounds of the resorts, and support staff in the kitchen. And these areas, I think even in the future, it'll be difficult to attract Maldivians. Um, but then again, at the management and professional levels in the tourism sector, there's ample jobs.
Yeah.
It's a matter of us identifying those jobs, uh, ensuring how many are required, and then market those jobs through career guidance for our young people so that they see a future, a profession in these areas. Tourism is always going to be a challenge because of the one island, one resort concept that we have. And I think we can discuss that later. But I think even in the health sector, there's still need because I know as a chancellor of the university, there's a lot of demand for nursing programs, increasing the number of placements for nursing programs in a School of Medicine, the same. If you take other areas like physiotherapy, laboratory technicians, there's still demand and skills shortage in these areas. And the government is working on it. We are also increasing the number of programs in high demand areas in our university as well. So that would be my answer to that, yeah.
On the point of career guidance and diversity in education, do you see space and potential for private investors to establish universities and education centers in the Maldives?
I think there is opportunity for that. The law at the moment does provide for it. International universities to set up branch campuses in Maldives. And there are some universities now that offer foreign degrees through the colleges here, not universities, but colleges in Maldives. But I think the time will come when foreign universities will come up and come here and set up their branches in Maldives. Why do I say that the opportunity is there? Because on the one hand, if you look at the numbers, we don't really have that kind of numbers to generate enough demand or make it feasible for a certain number of universities, like 6-7 universities, to operate in the Maldives. Because every year we have roughly about 8,000 students who finish school. That's secondary school. A-level, it's only about 40% who go into the A-level at the moment. So if you look at how many students are there every year to go into a university programs, perhaps it's around 4,000 to 5,000 students. And a good number of percent of those students also want to go abroad, and they do go abroad. So what will be left for higher education in the country is relatively small compared to other countries. But then again, I think given the success of Maldives as a tourist destination and a country where people want to visit, and now increasingly where people want to come and live, I think there's a demand for, if we can do it right, for students from abroad to come and study here. We know that for several of our programs, we do have demand from international students, but we don't have proper housing at the moment in Mali. But I think we could create residence spaces in other parts of the country. And so in tourism, hospitality, in ocean or fisheries related areas, they would be the first ones. I think we can focus for international students. So if there's a foreign investor interested in setting up a campus in Maldives, I think that will be a good thing to do, because that will be a potential new industry for us. And we can't do it just by ourselves. We have to bring some of the top universities in the world, good reputed universities in the world, to come and set up branch campuses in Maldives. Now, from Maldives National University perspective, that's not something we would be concerned about. In fact, I think that's something we would welcome, because that would ensure that the Maldives generate another industry
Yep.
as an export destination for education and higher education in specialized areas.
How open is MNU and the broader Maldivian education sector, in your perspective, for collaboration with foreign education providers?
We have a lot of collaborative partnerships with international universities through memorandums of understanding and agreements as well. These are but mostly agreements for exchange of faculty, sometimes exchange of students as well, and joint curriculum development and research.
Yeah.
So we have some of these partnerships are active, others are not.
Okay.
But there's an increasing number of international collaborations that are working in the interest of both parties. And I must say that there's an increasing interest from international partners. And I say this because very often the request comes from a foreign university to partner with us, rather than us proactively making their request. So the signal for me from that is that people do want all over the world to work with the higher education institutions in Maldives. Certainly that's the case with the Maldives National University.
I'm just curious to know, do we have foreign students in the
We
Maldivian
do,
University?
but very few. At the moment, the foreign students we have are spouses or children of expatriates who are working in the Maldives. We have very few foreign students who are simply here as a foreign student for the purpose of studying, and that's all what they do. That's very few. The reason is not that there is a lack of demand. It's an area that we have not properly explored yet.
Yes.
To do that, the immigration law, does allow for foreign students. Even the term the foreign student or international student, a student visa is there.
Yep.
But we don't have yet a regulation. So the government, the AG office is, I think, working with the immigration, working on the regulation to bring in foreign students into the country. Now, the regulation will obviously have a few things to consider. What countries to open up to, what will be the durations the students get there, what would be the kind of services that the institutions, the host institutions, would have to offer. So there are a lot of host of stuff, considerations that have to be brought into the regulation. And as I said, the government is working on that at the moment.
Yep.
On the other hand, at MNU, we also need to set up proper residence facilities, because Mali is very difficult to find accommodation. So for us to bring a considerable number of foreign students and then them not having a proper accommodation or place to live will be a concern. So that's another issue that we need to resolve. Third is that some of our programs that will be possibly high demand, such as medicine or nursing, or some of the hospitality programs, we really don't want to open up to foreign students if there is a backlog of local demand for these programs, because that would be unfair, right?
Yes.
Up until this year, we had a very high differential fee as a policy for foreign students. It was 5 times local fee. But I must say that we brought it down now to twice.
Okay.
But even twice the local fee is actually very low.
Yes.
Because the local fees are very low. If you put it into dollars and then multiply it by 2, it's still quite low. So I don't think it's the fee is the issue. And by the way, I must say that we have a program that we're working with a partner in China, and we're expecting of the first group of Chinese foreign students on a special program to come to the university. I think it will be hopefully in this August or September.
That's very
They will join in.
exciting.
Yeah, so we are moving into that direction.
Yeah.
We still have some work to do,
Yeah.
but as a policy, yes, we are very open. That is where we see the future
Yeah.
of higher education in the Maldives is working with international partners and bringing not just local students into our universities, but also foreign students, and that will enrich the academic experience of the university life in Maldives. Yeah.
Definitely. We'll shift gears a bit. We'll
Sure.
move from the education policy and sectors to explore your time as the Minister of Tourism
All
a
right.
little bit. So, in your experience in the policy lead in the tourism sector up until now, what major changes or milestones have you observed in the tourism sector in Maldives?
I think the number one will be that we now have all the top international brands in the Maldives. When I was the Minister of Tourism, we had couple. Okay, the international brands were just coming in.
Yeah.
But today you can say that almost all top brands are there in the Maldives. Not only one resort, I think several
Yeah.
of these brands will have more than one, two, three, 4 resorts in the Maldives. So that's the major change. I think Maldives is obviously now considered the top resort destination in the world. And that is partly because of the international brands that are present in the Maldives. But this also have challenges, obviously, for local investors and local tour operators and agencies. But I think the tourism industry has developed, yeah.
Yeah. The tourism product itself has changed a lot over the years. We used to be very strictly one island, one resort country, and now we've shifted to bringing the benefits of tourism closer to local communities as well. Do you think that there are still areas or opportunities untapped in the tourism industry?
Yes. I think for some time we've been thinking about this. Can we develop some part of the industry that people will come and stay here for a longer periods? So more like long-term lease of villas or even apartments. The lease period could be 50 to 99 years, and then tourist, but on a long-term visa, making Maldives a place that they want to spend at least 6 months a year or 4 months a year or even entire year, like a retirement destination or long-term holiday destination. I think that's a product that could still be developed in the tourism sector in the Maldives. And then I think the liveaboards, the safari or liveaboards, that's also an area that kind of, in my view, somewhat stagnated, hasn't really moved too much. And I think this has to do with having the right marinas, and there has to be a plan to develop that part of the industry. So I think that's still an untapped. I think we have not reached the potential in that area as well.
Yep. My next question for you is very broad. So you can imagine, you can be imaginative about this, but what opportunities do you think currently exist within the tourism sector for our international investors? Maybe in the areas that you've mentioned are untapped or unexplored.
Well, there's increasing number of islands on tender, even at the moment as we speak. And that's obviously still opportunities for foreign investors to come in. There may be concern by some investors that there's a lot of resorts that has been leased and still under construction, or the construction has halted at some point. So it hasn't, or the resort's been under construction for some time. But I think on a positive side, the demand for Maldives tourism, I think, will continue to rise. We have a excellent, brand new international airport, right? That of the terminal, at
Yes.
least. With the new terminal, and with the kind of international reputation that we have as a tourist destination, I think it's still a profitable tourism industry is still profitable. So I think there's still a lot of islands that possibility could be developed. So I would encourage international investors to still consider Maldives, even under the one island, one resort. Still, I think there's a lot of potential.
Yep.
Now, what other options are there? I think the guest house, which is small boutique hotels on inhabited islands, I think the regulation now does allow a minority share of foreign investors together with the Maldivian. And I think once you find trustworthy Maldivian investors, then the work with you, the foreign investors will benefit from the what we call guest house tourism as well.
Yep.
And then I think the liverboards also there's a certain category that's open for foreign investors. That's still an area foreign investors can invest in Maldives. Yeah.
So the government has recently announced a policy to designate some islands specifically for halal tourism. What would be your opinion on that?
Well, the term halal tourism, this has been around for a while. It's not new. It's a well-established term in the international tourism in this arena of halal tourism. What it obviously means is a tourist establishment where alcohol is not served. And I think it's not only Muslims who would prefer that. There's a lot of others who are not necessarily Muslims who want to stay away from alcohol and who wouldn't mind going into a resort that's not serving alcohol. After all, the enjoyment of a holiday is not all about consumption of a particular product, right, or alcohol. And then obviously pork. There's a lot of people who do not eat pork anymore, right? And then a certain modest dress code. These are the three major components of what we call halal tourism. So there's a segment in the world who are looking for that. I told you earlier that I spent considerable time in Canada as a student. I have a lot of friends in Canada who are Muslims, obviously, and many of them are medical doctors, engineers, businessmen. Even now I get calls from text messages from my friends. Is there a resort I can go with my family that doesn't serve alcohol? I tell them, I'm sorry, I don't know of a resort that doesn't serve alcohol. But there are a lot of nice guest houses on inhabited islands that are almost as good as resorts.
Yes.
So I can suggest few for them. And some of them have already come and gone. So I think we are very close to Middle East. There's Saudi Arabia is a potential destination. Even now, we get thousands of tourists from Saudi Arabia. So given the fact that we are so close to the Middle East, having a differentiated product, you were talking earlier about what kind of different products that we can have. So to have a halal resort or non-alcoholic resort, I think that's a good idea, and I think there is a future for that as well.
Yeah.
I think the better, the more diversified
Exactly.
our tourism industry is.
So the platform we are on today, Ethera Business, our mantra is to encourage businesses to go global, to explore the advantages of going global, and exploring other jurisdictions. What would be your advice to international entrepreneurs looking to expand beyond their jurisdictions?
You mean Maldivian investors or
Foreign investors who are willing to come to the Maldives and explore our markets?
Well, I would say that those who have invested in Maldives, do you know of any that has not been successful?
No.
No, right?
One or the other way.
Yeah, I mean, some had taken longer, others, but majority,
Yeah.
they achieve their, I think they become profitable within like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So almost all investors who had come to Maldives and invested in tourism, they have succeeded. And that's why they're here. I mean, people who have invested in tourism from Sri Lanka, from Singapore, from Americas, they've been here for 20 years or more, right? An increasing number of investors are coming into the Maldives. That's because this is still a perfect place, I think, for foreign investors to come and invest. And I think that will be my number one, is almost all have succeeded. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a great note, though.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shougee. It's been a very enlightening conversation. I'm sure everything that you've shared with our viewers today would be very, very helpful for them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you're looking to expand your business globally, whether in investment, education, or tourism, conversations like this help you move forward with greater clarity and purpose. Stay connected with us at Ethera Business for more discussions like this and expert guidance on international expansion. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and stay updated. Until next time, keep building, keep growing, and get ready to go beyond borders with Ethera Business.